I worked on this new wall today. Getting this one up and this beam. And I'll show you, I kind of did the same thing as yesterday. Screwed this block in, and I'm using this pry bar and this clamp and this clamp to take this whole beam and force it that way, which kind of presses this wall outwards just a little bit. And so that seems to work pretty well. And so what I'll do is I'll crank it in, and then I'll either pin it from the top about right there so that it stays steady again, and then I move this back, say a half an inch, and then put the pry bar in, apply a little pressure here, back that screw back out, and then it's ready to get moved again. So I kind of inch it along slowly. And so this is what I'm doing next is here, let me get on here. Okay. I've got to set you down. Just a second. Okay. So this is what I'm on next. I've got this joint, and I'm getting this log into place, and I've smashed it against this one, put some caulk in it, and I'm kind of pinning it one at a time. So I'll put about, say, 3 or maybe even 4 of these long screws in there. And then what will happen is this is tight. So then I'm going to loosen that clamp that I just showed you, and then this wall will want to come back, but it'll be pressing against this. And what should happen is that this joint gets even tighter. So the good news is that this joint right here is perfectly aligned. It was out, not as much as yesterday. Yesterday was over here, it was off by it was actually like 1.5 inches. So I had to take that whole wall over there and push it 1.5 inches, which was pretty crazy. So this is aligned. Now the next thing is to know whether or not this long log will fit into place. And I'll have to do the same thing. I'll have to take this whole wall that I'm kind of sitting on and force it this way so that that next log can slide right into this notch. This joint is done. Put 4 long bolts into this one because it's supporting the weight of this whole piece. And then next, I've got these logs that go across. And so the next thing I'm going to do is put this next log up and just see how far out it is, and I'll take this whole wall and just push it that way. Here's this log. I need to push it this way so that it can slide into this notch. And I've used this clamp, and I wanted to show you real quick. So these clamps are reversible. I didn't know this until a few years ago. And some clamps aren't reversible, but these ones are from Harbor Freight, and they're, oh, if I can't get this off. Just a second. All right, so you can either put the clamp this way, or you can put the clamp this way. So instead of pulling, it pushes. And that's gonna come in handy right now. And you take this little knob and screw it on there. And so I'm using 2 of these to get twice the force. I'm gonna push that log, and it should slip right into place. Here's kind of a cool part about working on a log cabin is these rungs on the side. You've got to kind of use them for climbing around on, hooking your leg into them. It makes it easier to work on the outside and the inside at the same time. It's pretty cool. I think that's probably why the logs are sticking out in the first place on log cabins. So this beam was not aligned. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little notch. Fits up in there, and this was like way out of place. So kind of put a couple nails here, use it as a leverage point, take this and then crank it over and then pin it into place. So it's putting a ton of pressure this way. It ends up aligning this, and then I can go in from the top, screw it down, and it's got freedom to move down because it just pushes this whole pry bar down. And that will close this gap. This thing slid into place just perfect. I'm happy with how it looks. Hey everybody. It is like soaking wet in here. There's water coming down. There's water all over the floor. Water all over the floor. And I've got to sleep in here tonight. So I went out and I got a couple supplies, some of this piping, trying to make this little stove to get some of the water out of here as best as I can. It's like really humid, and I've put a tarp up in such a way that it kind of pushes water out the front door. And then, yeah, there's like a leak up there that's just going tap, tap, tap. It's gonna go all night. Gotta get that roof on quick. It's pretty crazy. So I've got this tarp on, and it's dry-ish in here, but what I have is like the tarp hanging at the corners. Some of the corners I wasn't able to pin, and so there's quite a bit of this water right here, and that's what's going into the basement. But a lot of the water's just coming in through the windows, and it's just we're in the middle of a cloud right now. I'm not sure if it's going to be raining tomorrow or not. I don't think it will be. But if it is, I'm going to have to, like, knit or something. I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do. I have to have everything be dry so that I can caulk the seams of the cabin.
Good morning, everybody. Today we get the gift of a sunny day. I'll show you. It was a pretty gnarly night last night. It was really wet. Rain was coming down sideways. There's a lot of water on the floor, so it's kind of a mess in here. But it looks like we get 2 days of sun, today and tomorrow. So I'm gonna try and get as much done as I can. What I might try to do is get the last sections of the walls up, and then begin to build the peaks, so that maybe I can drape a tarp over the whole thing. And that's what I'll try to get done.
Here's something pretty cool. Got this 100-watt solar panel set up. Got the wire going into the basement. This is where I set up last night. And it goes to a little 290-watt battery. And the reason why I'm excited about this is because it kind of represents something sustainable. Looks like I'm pulling in 56 watts. And as the little freezer shunts turns on, it's pulling only, say, 33 to 40. So I'm taking in more energy from the sun than I'm using to power the refrigeration of my groceries, which is pretty awesome. So I got all these logs. It's calling for a 4 by 8. I don't understand why they name lumber differently than it's actually measured. So this is 7.25 I say 3.5. So I almost cut a notch in this log that was 4 inches wide, but actually I need to cut one that's 3.5 inches wide. Up here at this next rung, what I need to do is every 2 feet I need to cut a notch into this big honking log. I'm gonna run these floor joists across the top, and that will define the loft. And all of those boards, those go across. So I need to cut 3 notches into here that are 2 foot on center. So I got my lines marked out. I adjusted for the 3.5 inches. I don't have an eraser, so I gotta figure that out later. But now I need to know, is this the actual corner, or is it butted in at all? So I'll go look at that up here. All right. Okay, and it looks like it is. So this edge, the one with the beam sticking out, which is what that is, this edge represents the corner. So the plan calls for, I believe, 1.5 inches, which is going to be the depth of this cut. Well, I could do it one of 2 ways. I could either, measure the blade, adjust the depth of the blade down 1.5 inches on this thing, something like that, or you could just kind of set this on here, rest it on there, and then adjust the height, so something like that. And then now I know that when I run those lines, it's going to be at the perfect depth.